I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, March the 12th, brought to you in part by Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. Address the stress in your cattle, but it's not just for high-risk cattle, for all classes of cattle. Dr. Rodrigo recently did a test on feedlot performance, and he did it on yearling feeders, top quality, single-sourced yearling feeders, low stress. Sent them into the feedlot there at the Texas A&M Research Yard at Bushland, Texas, and the control group, the ones that didn't have Fairpiece, they performed outstanding, but the Fairpiece cattle still performed better. Had an increase of 0.17 pounds for average daily gain, 15.6 pounds of bigger carcass whenever they were done. Had improved marbling on those cattle. 94.9% of those cattle graded choice and prime, compared to the control group that graded 87.9% choice and prime. And it was over a $90 return on investment per head there on the carcass value. That's big, guys. For more information and check that test out, go to fairpiece.com. February placements. Daily livestock report that I've told you I subscribe to and read on a daily basis had an interesting report on Tuesday talking about February placements, and we all remember what was going on in February. The bitter cold temperatures made almost every auction in the nation be closed at least 1 week, and many of them were closed 2 weeks, and on the outside of that they had curbed receipts. So the auction receipts during February were down over 32%. That's going to show up, guys. The heifer retention showed a little bit. The market was showing some signs of slipping just a little bit, and some of our higher quality auctions, we saw there was a lot more heifers that were being held back home. They were only selling, in some cases, less than half as many steers as they were selling heifers in some of those top quality auctions there. So that makes a little bit of difference. I'm thinking that they're going to take those heifers home, keep them for replacements, get them all put together, and then they're going to see what they would bring as yearlings, and they're going to bring them right back through the auctions just like they did last year, and we won't end up having hardly any herd rebuilding or heifer retention there. But we're starting to see some of that already, but I think that's yet to be seen, whether or not that's gonna happen or not. But the number of cattle that were placed in the feedlot during February were just extremely light, and it's always compared to a year ago, the same month, whenever we look at Cattle on Feed report and the placements on that. Well, if you go back to a year ago, February, that February had the highest number of replacements that they'd had in over 20 years. So we could see a huge drop in February placements on this next Cattle on Feed report that's coming up here pretty quick. Now, we don't know what the estimates are going to be from the analysts that go together to make the average of the analysts' guess, but it could easily be, and I think it will easily be, in the double-digit percentages down, maybe 10 or 12% lighter on our February placements. It all depends on what they come out with and what they guess it will be, on whether we end up getting a bullish one or not. But that's something to keep your eye on, guys, and just think about a year ago February and how light the sales were, and there weren't any direct cattle moving, hardly at all during the meat of February, because it was just so bitter cold out there. But tell you what, the market is resurging here this week. It is just so much different than it was a week ago at this time, and it was all to do with what happened on Friday, whenever your packers were desperately needing cattle to buy on the negotiated market, and they had to up their bid significantly. They've tipped their hand. They've showed us how short bought they are. Yes, they've slashed their slaughter, but still they need to buy cattle on the open market, and as long as they do, we're going to see some market transparency and some price discovery there, and thank God for that. But man, is it just a different temperature out there in your auction markets. Guys that are feeding cattle, the moods and everything are so much better than they were a week ago at this time, and we're sure glad to see that. I want to remind you the Punchy Pick of the Month contest will be coming up again here before you know it. If you get a punchy pick, just email that thing to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered into the contest. If you win the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, you're going to get a huge box. It's going to be full of all kinds of swag from National Beef Wire, Feeder Flash, Beaver Feed Company of Beaver, Oklahoma. Been with us from the start of this. Beaver County Stockyards, of course, been with us from the start of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest. But the best part of that prize is you get a whole case of Farapiece, and so it's definitely worth it. And if you win the Kids Corral, you're going to get a $200 gift certificate from Cavender's. So both of those are pretty good, impressive prizes there, and it doesn't cost anything at all to enter. I want to talk to you about a production sale coming up here into the week. It's my buddy Jim Felton at the Felton Angus Ranch based out of Montana. They're going to be an online only sale coming up here Friday, March the 14th, starting at 1 o'clock Mountain or 2 o'clock Central. So be sure and remember that. Got about 100 top quality bulls, probably the best offering of bulls he's ever had. On top of that, he's going to have 80 head of Felton sired replacement heifers, and he's got another 15 head of F1 Black Baldy replacement heifers. But tell you what, Jim, like I said, he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for several years. He is honest as the day is long, almost to a fault. But he's a great guy there, and he will deliver those bulls to you. He will make every effort to deliver the bulls to you himself. He's going to bring the bulls to your farm, your ranch, and you're going to get to visit with him. He'll tell you about the bulls. You can tell him about your operation. But don't miss that sale. Online only, DVAuction.com, coming up here on Friday at 2 o'clock Central. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. April live cattle futures were down $1.02 at $199.55. June was down 97 cents at 196 1/4. Your back months were mixed some, mostly lower, from down 82 cents closer nearby to as much as 15 cents higher, and that was farther off. But tell you what, the way this stock market has knee-jerk reacted to all the tariff talk, tell you what, your live cattle futures have showed some strength here, being up $4 on Friday last week, and then being showing some gains on Monday, and is down some on Tuesday. But your live cattle futures usually kind of follow along with your stock market, and you would have thought they might have tanked with the stock market, but they're holding in there pretty darn good, and then the market on all classes of cattle is holding in there very well. March feeder cattle were up 45 cents at 277.50, trying to get right in there tight with your index levels, and it is in there pretty close. April feeder cattle down, but just 22 cents at 277.70. But all your back months were up from 40 cents to $1.17 higher, and that helps your protection price level there if you guys are thinking about getting LRPs if you're going to be turning cattle out this summer. Look at your grains. May corn were down, but just 1 3/4 cents. That's 4.70 1/4. May beans were only down 2 3/4 cents at 10.11 1/4. Hard red winter wheat for May down 6.5 cents a bushel at 5.72. We have not seen a hoof of cattle trade on a direct negotiated cash basis in your 5-area feeding region. That is reminiscent of when this fed cattle market was rallying there several weeks ago when we got to all-time record highs, and we're coming back that way. We're back over $2 and coming back, but the guys, nobody's even blinking at all, and we've got higher bids out there already than the top of last week's market. So we're going to be gaining good ground this week. A market that we can trust and find some way in is Stockman's Livestock Market brick and mortar fat cattle auction, the biggest in the nation, at Yankton, South Dakota. There, they had 1,400 in overnight, 2,400 head for the fed cattle auction there in Yankton. Conventional fed cattle sell from $2 to $2.07 compared to what I got last week. That's sure $4 to $5 higher. Program cattle, non-implanted or drug-free, selling from $203.5 to $211.75. They did hear that one major packer there was very aggressive in there, buying more cattle than what they normally do, and they're short bought, and they can't pretend that they're not anymore, because we've seen the results of that. Box beef cutout values, choice was up big for the second day in a row, and that's saying something. Got choice cuts up 362 at 321.20. It was just not too many days ago that they were lower than your dressed steer market there. But your selects were down, but just 9 cents at 306.86. Slaughter up through the first 2 days of the week, much more aggressive than it's been for a while. 239,000. That's 14,000 better than this point a week ago, and 5,000 better than this point a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef is software there, guys. And Performance Livestock Analytics is owned by the original co-founders, both from rural Osage, Iowa, and that is farmer feeder country, guys. These guys know about, they grew up around farmer feeding, they know all about it. They developed software that helps simplify your feeding, performance, and health data recording, not to mention your billing and everything that goes with for any kind of a fed cattle operation or even a growing yard. But for more information on that, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, working to protect your livelihood. Real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Tuesday, after all your auctions had closed, sitting at 279.42 based on an 800-pound cash auction steer. That's up another 255 after a big gain there early in the week. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 276.54. You can sure count on it to gain another $2.50 here when it comes out today. Let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday. How about Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri? They had over 3,000 head through the ring. They had over 900 head at their in-house video sale that they do with help from DVAuction. But through the ring there, your feeders sold $4 to $8 higher. Your calves were $10 to $15 higher. Those are huge gains, guys. And a stick-out deal there in West Plains, Missouri was 271 black steer calves there, weighed 570 pounds, bring 382 in South Central Missouri. That's really respectable, guys. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? 5,650 head for their sale. Feeders were $5 to $10 higher, and I was there last week. It was off a little bit. It was a miserable day. Everybody was kind of down in the doldrums. The wind was blowing 40, 50 miles an hour. It was cold, but we had a big change there this week. Feeders $5 to $10 higher, with spots as much as $20 higher. Calves $3 to $8 higher. They were your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. Look at your best tested weights on this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. You see there were 335 head of 5-weight steer calves. They averaged 539. Weighted average price $358.37. 443 head of 6-weight steers averaged 656 at $314.18. There were 709 head of 7-weight steers averaged 755 at $290.14. 482 head of 8-weight steers averaged 850 pounds on the dot, with a weighted average price of $271.18. 686 head of the 9-weight steers averaged 940 pounds at $257.19. How about some heifers? The best tested weight groups: 292 head of 5-weight heifers averaged 549 at $308.58. 480 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 658 at $286.11, and 1,009 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 746 at $270.78. I was in Macon, Missouri on Tuesday. Saw an impressive quote out of Lolly Brothers Livestock Market there. You look at this pick, and I tell you what, these were really, really nice steers with a honest weigh up and an honest flesh condition there. 72 head of them, weighed 762, and bring 303 and a quarter in mid-Missouri there at Lolly Brothers Livestock Market in Macon, Missouri. How about Winter Livestock in La Junta, Colorado? They sell 65 steers, weigh 612 pounds at $364.50. Gordon Livestock Market in Gordon, Nebraska had a stick-out sale. How about 65 steer calves for them? Weighed 541, bring $395. Thought that was awfully good, but the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday near Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. 75 feeding steers, weighed 802, bring $299. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.